So, welcome back to another reading. Daily Guide, Science of Mind magazine, October 2024. Courtesy of Creative Life Spiritual Center in Spring, Texas. Today's reading, I think, is a good one. It's simple. It doesn't need a lot of explanation. At least I don't think so. When my wife read it last night before she went to sleep, she said, "Oh, this is a good reading." So expect the best. It's pretty good. The first quote is from the famous Persian Middle Ages poet Rumi. And the title of this reading is The Rhythm of the Heart. The Rhythm of the Heart. Rumi says, "Give up to grace. The ocean takes care of each wave till it gets to the shore." The ocean takes care of each wave till it gets to the shore. And of course, this is just using a metaphor here, saying that each of us is like an ocean wave, and that the divine takes care of each of us until we reach the end of this particular journey. That's how I interpret that. And if I can just, that will work. Now, this is from Ernest Holmes in Help for Today, page 23. He was very practical, actually, even though he's been called a mystic, and he started a spiritual organization, religious organization. He was actually pretty practical. He used to get down to the nitty-gritty, and he might have talked in convoluted language at times, or written in convoluted language. Reverend Jesse, my boss, says that Ernest Holmes was a much better speaker than he was a writer. So his whole idea was just to help people to have a better life. And this is what he says: to believe in God effectively means more than simply asserting that you believe in a power greater than yourself. The presence of God to you must be an inner experience, a spiritual conviction that is real. You must know that God, the divine, if you like, is right where you are and is not separate from you. Every time your heart beats, it is responding to an infinite rhythm no one ever fathomed. Every time you think, you are thinking creatively because your mind is one with the creative spirit. Out of the mind of God, the divine, if you prefer, you were created as a divine being. And as a divine being, you must recognize and know the source of that which created you out of itself, the creative spirit of God or the divine, Almighty. As I said, that was help for today. So before I do any explanations on this, give any views on this, here's what my boss, Reverend Jesse's got to say. Acknowledging that there is a power greater than anyone's personal will is vital to effective living. It affirms humility, balance, and a healthily proportioned ego. It's pretty obvious that a whole lot is going on in the cosmos that no individual had any part in creating, at least at the level of the individual, such as how hearts beat in rhythm or how the colors paint an evening sky. But here's the wonderful paradox. While the human personality cannot circumscribe the fullness of the divine's nature, that nature expresses fully and simultaneously through each and every one of us. Recognizing a higher power is a good start. Then we move to the realization that we are of one mind with that power. We think and feel into its creative process, manifesting conditions and experiences in return. Okay, so I said it's pretty obvious, pretty simple. So in essence, Holmes is simply saying that God, the divine, is all there is. and that everything is an expression of that divine source. And that when we do our spiritual work, when we get quiet for a while, when we listen, then we can start to appreciate our oneness with that source. You can call that contemplation, meditation, being in the moment. Somebody once put it this way, that praying is talking to God. Meditation is listening to God. So praying is talking to the divine. Meditation is listening to the divine. That's one aspect of what they're saying here. The other aspect is that this divine flow must come through us, because if that divine is all there is and nothing else, and its power is everywhere, then that power must flow through us as well. And when we believe that, when we fully believe that, then we can utilize that power to affirm what it is that we want to express on this plane. So that's really kind of it. I'm just looking at, there was something that occurred to me, and it's kind of gone right now. Yeah, well, obviously, when they're saying that, well, Reverend Jesse says that no one, okay, what is he saying it here? He says, well, the human personality cannot circumscribe the fullness of the divine's nature. Why? Because we're finite and the divine is infinite, infinite. And then he says, recognizing there is a higher power is a good start. Why? Because when we start there, then we can recognize that we can use this power that's flowing through us. They also talk about some things like nobody can figure out how, okay, every time your heart beats, it's responding to an infinite rhythm. No one has ever fathomed. Well, that kind of is and isn't true. Nobody's figured out how all that came into being. We kind of figured out a lot of the mechanisms that cause the heart to breathe in rhythm. We've also figured out mechanisms that tell you how you can have a wonderful sunset or sunrise or weather experience. I mean, we figured out how that happens, right, with refraction of light and so on. But what we haven't figured out is how all this came to be in the first place and why something like that would happen. So that's kind of the wonder of living. Each and every day, I live in the knowledge that the divine is over all and through all. Each and every day, I live in the knowledge that God, the divine, is over all and through all. So once again, we're coming back to the basic thing, which is God, the divine, is all there is. And because of that, everything you see is an expression of it. You know, this is an expression of it. This is an expression of it. You are an expression of it. However, you're a thinking being. So therefore, because you're a thinking being, you can channel that divine energy through you. By how? By belief, by thought plus feeling, and putting it into action. So we talked about the thought and the feeling the other day. And if you want to know more, then here we are. Just ask us. Remember Reverend Lisa tomorrow morning at 9-ish. She'll be reading from the Science of Mind textbook. I think she's still in the textbook as far as I know. She's probably in the part that is using affirmations and treatments and prayers and suggesting prayers and so on. So it's, I don't know exactly what part she's in, but if she's towards the end of it, that's what she's doing. Ernest Holmes in the book, it's a big book, but the latter parts of the book, or the back part of the book, he wrote a lot of specific prayers for different issues. And they're pretty useful. You can read them and then you can change them to suit yourself. But there's a lot of really down-to-earth practical advice in there and prayers. So until next time, hopefully 5 o'clock at this time tomorrow, namaste.